Right, hello guys. As a couple of you have asked, I am in the kitchen. So basically, I've got Carly behind the camera, so say hello.
I'm laughing because look at his top.
Yes, I've got my Evian t-shirt on, which I absolutely love, so just back off.
Sorry.
But anyway, so this is a recipe that I got off one of my mates called Adam. He's like an absolute legend. And he calls them protein balls. So basically, what you need is normal tub of smooth peanut butter. It could be whatever you want it to be, but always go for a nice natural brand. The less oily, the better, basically. Also, a nice natural tub of honey, exactly the same sort of size. These ones are both 340 grams, so just make sure they're the same part, like one part, exactly the same. Then we've got some quinoa, which you can see is actually on at the moment. It's a really good source of protein. But the problem is with that is that it takes 20 minutes to 30 minutes to actually get sorted. So I started that before, but basically you just rinse it down, make sure it's nice and clean, and then chuck it in 1 part quinoa, 5 parts water, and then leave it for 20 minutes to boil, and that'll soak up all the water, and then you just separate all the grains, make sure it's nice and healthy. And we're just going to roll that in with the rest of the stuff just to add a little bit more protein. So that's your quinoa. You've also got an option to put whatever you want in. We normally say 2 or 3 parts, like cheeky little ingredients. I've gone for a mix of raisins and sultanas, really good source of potassium, which is really good for recovery as well. And also, I'm going for a cheeky little bit of chocolate chips, but it's not going to be a whole part. It's going to be just a small little handful, just because I have got a bit of a chocolatey tooth. So I've got that, and then at the end, I'm going to grind up a load of pistachios just to roll the balls in, to finish them off, just to lock all the flavour in stock, because basically with the honey and peanut butter they do tend to get a little bit sticky on the outside, so a cheeky little tip is grind a load of peanuts down or something like that, normal nuts that are salted as hell, and roll the balls in those because it locks all the flavour in. Protein, I'm just using Promax. It's basically a pure protein which I've got at the moment, and I'm going for a chocolate flavour. That you can use whatever flavour you like, but I use a chocolate flavour protein. Always try and use what we call an isolate protein, because an isolate protein is predominantly just protein. It hasn't got loads of carbs and it hasn't got loads of fat, so look for an isolate if you can. Come back at the worst point, because this is the bit I don't like. So in the bowl we've got all the bits that I described at the start. You've got 1 part of absolutely everything that we're using, apart from the pistachios, which we're going to use at the end. So the one thing I forgot to tell you before I get absolutely filthy with my hands is that if you find when you've completely finished the balls and you've rolled them and you've put some peanuts on and you still feel like they're a little bit soggy, maybe just remember next time a cheeky little trick that you can use. If they still feel really soggy, add a little bit more protein powder, because then that'll just absorb the honey a little bit. And if you find that they're just not sticking at all, next time you do them, just put a little less protein powder in. This is something that you're probably going to find out at the end. I've either got it spot on just by sheer luck, or I've got it really wrong, because last time I was miles off the mark. I made them really bad. So it depends on the... Right, we've moved from the kitchen to the living room because we are de-shelling all the pistachios and they just take absolutely forever, so I've refused to do them on my own. So basically, make sure you don't use the shells because they don't taste very nice. We're going to literally spend about 5 minutes picking them up off the floor once Carly's... Well, this is Carly, my other half, if you haven't seen her before.
I'm sure you guys have seen me before in the fitness video.
Yes, with her 6-pack out. Oosh. So, yeah, we're going to de-shell all these. And then... I've got an aggressive one. And then I'm going to go and chop them down like Gordon Ramsay style with my cutting skills. And then we're going to use them as just a crispy little coating on the outside of the balls.
Can you even say that?
Oh yeah, I can. I can say whatever I like. I'm going to put a crispy coating on my balls.
But can you use anything different to this if you don't like pistachio?
Oh yes, we've got a TV presenter with me today. Yes, my dear, you can use...
There are other brands available.
There are other brands. You can use whatever you like. If you don't like nuts, and you don't like any of the ingredients I've used today,
then you won't like this.
First of all, you won't like protein balls, because all they are is high in protein. They're just a nice little snack that I have, and to be honest, I like them mainly because I know what's going in them. Exactly the same as like me and John said the other day on one of our Food Fridays, or Fat Loss Foods. If you don't understand or have any idea what the name of something is in an ingredient, it's normally not great.
Yeah.
So if you know exactly what you're putting in, you know, obviously peanut butter and honey and all the rest of it, some of those things are processed, but if you buy the natural stuff or the organic stuff, it's always going to be a little bit more healthy than something you're such a dude, that you don't have a clue what it is. So,
and they are really tasty, although the last batch that Buster made
yeah, they literally look more like
a bit
cookies.
soggy.
But that was because I didn't know the cheeky little trick about adding more protein powder. So anyway, we're going to get out your face.
Oh, it's on my nose.
We look like mini people. But anyway, the next time you see
My
us,
little head.
we'll be back in the kitchen. Right, back in the kitchen. So, Carly, just scan down, please. My glamorous assistant. This is all the de-shelled pistachios. And I seem to remember last time that me and John were in Fat Loss Foods, that he tried to tell me that I can't cut to save my life. So if we just do a little bit of a demonstration of what John was doing with his onion.
Careful. Careful.
So that was John. And I told him, I was like, why are you cutting like that for? And he said to me that I can't cut. So, these little bad boys, to cut them properly, have a little bit of pressure on the front of the knife, turn it through, and cut it back. So that is how I cut. And I don't start worrying about all those holding it and getting perfect lines and ended up cutting your fingers off. So they started off like that. I'm now going to grind them all the way down. So we've got nice little bits to put onto our balls.
You're so aggressive.
As such. So, obviously I'm not an amazing cook, I'm not amazing at cutting, but I'm just proving a point to John. So, wherever you are, Jonathan.
1-0.
Right, one finished protein ball. Basically, I've got a little bit of it's basically about golf ball size, rolled a lot of them now. Now I've got the consistency a little bit better, they're pretty much all done. As you can see, that first one, these first couple, that shouldn't happen.
That's like cowback.
Yeah, that is the consistency being a little bit too wet, so the syrup is a little bit too wet. So basically, I put a little bit more protein in, and now I've rolled most of them. To be honest, I just run out of pistachios, so the rest are just going to be normal ones. But that is pretty much your finished product on a protein ball. All you do now is you chuck them in the fridge so they can solidify a little bit, especially that last one, so that's going to be used as like a pancake instead. Cooking, fantastic, get in there. Make your own meals, make your own little snacks, and trust me, you will nail it pretty quickly. So I'm going to put my balls in the fridge and yeah, snack on them in the next couple of weeks. So if you're going to give them a whirl, send us your pictures, let us know what's going on like, and yeah, I will be back in the kitchen soon. So thanks for watching, guys, and yeah, don't forget to subscribe.